Okay, so just a quick reminder before we get started today. There's going to be a webinar right after this call at 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific time, and that's going to be the Darren Hardy webinar. If you've not yet registered for that one, shoot us a quick note over at support and at support@mortgagecoach.com, and we'll get you that link so you can register right away. We will be cutting off this this training call a little bit early today so we can prep for that webinar that's coming up. So we're going to have about maybe 45 minutes of time today on this call. So with that said, let's just start into some basics in Edge, and hopefully that'll prompt a few questions, and we can get started. All right, so we've been doing this 10 days of training thing for, obviously the last few days, and then we also had one that we did in December. So hopefully that's given you guys a lot of good ideas in terms of strategies that you can use inside Edge. So I think today I'm going to spend a little more time on the nuts and bolts, just, how to put together certain types of scenarios and, what kind of things you should be looking out for in Edge. So first things first, if you are brand new to Edge, first thing you want to do is make sure that you have all your settings taken care of. Now you can edit your settings by clicking on Settings inside Edge once you log in, and you can see that all this stuff is editable. You may find if you're in an organization that has locked down your license numbers that these fields may be grayed out. If that's the case and one of them is actually incorrect, you'd want to make sure and send a note over to your account administrator, and they can alter that for you from their end. Now, one thing I do want to show you, it's kind of a new feature that we silently released for you, and it's called Create the Edge widget. This is basically going to allow you to create a widget that you can put on your website if you'd like. That's going to allow you to retrieve contact information from people. So kind of like how a lot of you have the Apply Now buttons on your website. This is a little bit different. This is going to give them an area where they can put in their name and phone number, and it'll automatically pipe them into your Edge account, and it'll send you an alert that they'd like to be contacted. Now, if you'd like to take advantage of that, there's just a couple of things that you definitely need to have. One is you've got to have your business address in there, and you've got to have a cell phone number in there. And the reason for this is the Edge widget actually will send you a cell phone alert as well. So if we're looking at what this does, we hit Create Edge Widget. And you can see that you can actually choose whether you want to receive an SMS text when somebody does an entry on your form. You can also even have one sent to an alternate mobile number if you'd like. And then you define what you want to show on the widget, your photo, your logo, your address. And then you can actually display additional text. So I'll show you what this widget looks like in just a moment. But once you've got all your all the stuff up here completed, you hit Update Form Options. And it takes just a moment, but once it's updated, you can actually take this code and put it straight onto your website, and it will put a widget on your website. Now what it looks like, and if you want to, you can actually even send your clients this link. They can open this on their mobile phone, and here's what it'll look like. So you can see that this is actually positioned for a mobile phone. That's why it's tall vertical and very, very thin horizontal. So if they were to open this on their iPhone or Android device, they'd see this as a full screen widget. So they would enter their first and last name, email address, and phone number, and you can see that's where your additional text would show up. Once they hit submit, you'll receive an SMS text with that information. This information will also be inside your Edge account, and you'll get an alert through RateWatch as well. So lots of good things that you can do with this. You don't have to embed it on a website. You can feel free to just share this link with people. So if you wanted to send this link out via text to your realtor partners and allow them to send that to their clients could literally click on that from their mobile device, get this little widget to come up, and enter their information. It'll immediately contact you to let you know that they need some help. All right, so that's the Edge widget, and if you'd like a little bit more information on that, send us a note over at support@mortgagecoach.com. We don't really have a training asset for that one yet because this is so new, but we're going to be creating one in the next couple of days here. But if you have tried this out, I'd like to actually hear some feedback on how you're using it and if it's working for you. So the next step here for brand new users is you want to make sure you get your headshot and your logo in there. Now the headshot and logo, they don't have to be perfectly sized, but I will tell you that if you want them to look really nice on the mobile devices, try and get them as close as possible to these resolutions. 200 by 50 for the logo and 50 by 75 for your headshot. Now one thing about this is it just has to be in this ratio. It doesn't have to be exactly this. So for instance, this is a 4:1 ratio right here on width to height. So if I wanted to, I could also do 400 by 100. That would be a 4-to-1 ratio as well. So it'll fit perfectly when they open up their mobile device. You'll find that if you have a logo that's a little bit wacky, it'll stretch a little bit on the mobile device and it might look a little strange for you. So if you guys ever need help on your logos or photos, if you find they're just not looking right on either the mobile or even on the browser version, send those photos over to support@mortgagecoach.com, and we'll be happy to resize them and scale them for you, get them in the right format, even clean them up a little bit if necessary, and we'll get them back to you, even upload them into your account if you'd like, and that'll ensure that they appear correctly on all of your presentations. Now, product and fee templates. When you're first getting started in Edge, you may or may not want to do this in the beginning. I think it's probably a better idea to try and do a couple of presentations first before you start building your templates. That way you know what kind of parameters that you'd like to save for templates. But I will give you a brief overview on both of them right now. Now I'm going to start with fee templates because that's the kind of the baseline level. This is the absolute detail. So if we're looking at these, you can see I've got a lot of fee templates that are already saved in here. But if you wanted to create a new one, all you would do is hit New, give it a name. Let's say this one is an FHA 15-year fixed. Now if you do assign a state to this fee template will only be available when you select that state. If you leave the state field empty, it'll be available for all of your presentations no matter what state. So hit OK there. And now you've got a blank template. So at this point, you're going to want to start adding fees. Now, the easiest way to find out what kind of fees should be going in here is prepare a fee worksheet out of your loan origination system. So whether you're using Encompass, Point, or Integra, or one of the other proprietary loan origination systems, they all have a way to give you a fee worksheet so that you can see the detail. Now, this one in particular, I actually pulled from Point. And in Point, you can see they're still calling it a good faith estimate, but this is the detail that I need to have for my fee worksheets. So if I'm building my first fee template, I'm going to start with this document, and I'm actually going to put it side by side with Edge. So let me see if I can reduce this a little bit for you. All right. Oops. Let's see if I can reduce Edge as well. And we'll get them side by side so you guys can see what I'm talking about. All right, there we go. So you can see if I look on the right here, I've got a loan origination fee. Now this is represented as a percentage. And in Edge, you notice that if you add a fee and select loan origination, and you can do that by typing L, and it'll take you to the L's in the fee list, it knocks out the percentage on the method. Now the reason for this is we purposely disabled this because loan origination on a refinance, you may have that origination as a percentage of not only the loan amount but all the fees that it may have been financed in with it. So we disabled this feature. Now if you're doing a purchase loan, if you're doing a purchase template, you can actually create a custom fee, call it loan origination. You want to default it as an APR fee, and you want to make it based on the loan amount. Now when you do it as a custom fee, you notice that we have the method back. We can actually do a percentage now. So I can do my 1% there, and then I can go to my next fee. So we've got appraisal fee. So I'm going to add another fee item. You can see I've got my appraisal there. I'll put in my cost for that. This is a non-APR item, so I'm going to leave the APR box unchecked. And I'm going to add an additional fee. Next one on the list there is my credit report. So I'll select C on my keyboard. That'll take me down to the C's in the list. And then I'll put my $25. And then I can add additional fees. So for instance, tax service fee. Pop that in there. Put in my $100. That is an APR fee, so I'll check the box. And I'm going to keep adding fees all the way down the line until I've got all of these covered. Now there's going to be a couple of these that are variable each time, so you're going to want to leave the dollar amounts blank. Now the ones that I'm talking about specifically are going to be some of your title fees and your premiums, your reserves. So if you have, for instance, hazard insurance reserves, you're going to come in and type the H, you get hazard insurance reserves. It automatically marks the PPE checkbox for you, so you don't have to do that. It's already done. But you're going to leave the dollar amount blank because there's nowhere in here to tell Edge how many months of reserves to use. We don't yet know, on the template at least, what those hazard insurance monthly costs are. So there's no way to give you a multiplier. So what I recommend is when you create these templates, leave this field blank on hazard insurance reserves and tax reserves. But they'll at least be part of your template, so you'll know you'll have to fill them in for that particular loan product. Now, I'm not going to go through every single line item detail in here, but you get the idea. You pull open one of your fee worksheets and just basically start transposing it over here. Now, once you've got it transposed, in order to save this, all you have to do is either jump to another fee template or jump to another tab here in your settings, and it'll automatically save that for you. Now, what I would recommend is you want to probably have about 8 fee templates. So I would have one for, I'd have 2 for each one, basically, 2 FHAs, one for a refi, one for a purchase. I'd have a VA refi, VA purchase. I would have a USDA refi, USDA purchase, and then a conventional refi, conventional purchase. Those are the main 8 that I would put in there. Now, if you had other specific programs that your company offers that maybe are a little bit outside of the norm, something like maybe the CHFA loans or down payment assistance, you probably want to have fee templates for those ones as well, so you can easily pull them up from any presentation. Now, there's another thing you can do here, and that's that once you've created one fee template, you don't have to do all the legwork every single time. You can see I've got this 30 fixed purchase template that's pretty complete, and if I wanted to copy this to change it into something else, say for instance I wanted to build a new USDA one, I would take this 30 fixed purchase because it's already got all my fees in there. I'm going to do save as, and I'm going to call this one VA purchase. Hit OK, and now you can see it actually copied that. So I've got all my goodies in there, and loan origination in this case, I'd probably want to remove this one and use that custom fee that I did. So let's go down to the very bottom here. Put in my 1%. And then this one's pretty much good to go. I mean, I'd probably need to add a couple more fees. You can see that my fee worksheet on the right here, I do have probably a few more fees than what I'm showing right here. But once you've got one completed, you're going to use that as the base to just keep copying and copying and copying. So it really won't take you all that long to prepare all these fee templates so that you can use them on a case-by-case basis. Now, once you've got your fee templates done, because this is where I would start, is fee templates, you can do this from either inside Edge on the products themselves, which is perfectly fine, or you can do it up here in the settings. Now, both of them allow you the option to copy. This one does it by doing save as, and inside Edge, you can also save as template. So the same kind of concept. Once you've got a template pulled in, you can make modifications to it and save it as a new template. Now, once you've got all your templates in place, all your fee templates in place at least, you're going to want to jump over to product templates. Now, the difference between fee templates and product templates is that fee templates are just the fees, whereas product templates cover the entire product. So everything from the loan amounts to the rate, your terms, even the monthly costs, you can apply on the product templates. So let me show you what that looks like. Now, product templates, these ones you want to get kind of specific. If you do a lot of adjustable rate mortgages, you probably want to have product templates for each one that you do. So for instance, you can see I've created one here called a 5-1, and this one has caps of 525. And the reason I did it this way is because I don't want to have to enter my caps every single time my loan changes. So what you do is when you build your templates, and I'll build a new one right now, I'm going to call this one 7-1 ARM. Oops. And this is 6-month LIBOR, and 226 is going to be my caps for this one. So let's say that interest rate, you can actually leave this blank if you want, because rates are going to change all the time, so you don't necessarily need to have it in there. You can if you want. It's certainly not going to hurt anything. Definitely want to have the term in there. And then once you change the loan type from fixed to ARM, it's going to give you a button called ARM Details, so that once you do that, you can click ARM Details and you'll now be able to enter all the caps. So we'll get to that in just a moment, but let's finish out the rest of this. Now, one thing I might want to suggest too is you can get really detailed. You can have as many templates as you want in here. So if you have different types of parameters for, say, a 10% down loan versus a 20% down loan, obviously one's going to have mortgage insurance, the other isn't. You might want to do one of each. So what I would do is, let's call this one a 10% down. And then I'll change my down payment here to 10%. I'll assess 15 days of prepaid interest. And if this did have an IO period, you can see I'm having to get more and more detailed on my naming convention here. This is a 10-year IO. You can put your interest-only months in here. So it's going to have 120 months of interest only. Now the closing costs, I'm actually going to pull in a fee template to complete these. So I'm not going to do that right now. So now it's time to do my ARM details. Now this is the point where you need to know those caps. So remember I said this one is a 226. What that means is that my first adjustment cap is 2%. That's that first 2 in the list. That second 2 in the list is my periodic cap. That's how much that rate can adjust per adjustment period. And that is right here. So that can adjust 2%. And then my life cap being 6% here, we're asking, instead of a life cap, we're asking for the max rate. So this is actually life cap plus the start rate. So if I have a 6% life cap and a 3.5% start rate, I end up with a 9.5% max rate. All right, so first adjustment month. On a 7-1 ARM, this is going to tell Edge where that fixed period ends. So you know that that fixed period is going to go 84 months, so your first adjustment month is going to be month 85. Adjustment months, this is determined by which index you choose. So in this case, remember I said it was going to be the 6-month LIBOR, so this is going to adjust every 6 months. Now if you chose the 1-year LIBOR, you'd type in 12 months there. Margin, you pull this directly from your rate sheets. However, most of the time it's going to be about 2.25. It doesn't tend to change too much between companies from what I've seen, but check your rate sheet just to make sure. Now index, I'm going to select the 6-month LIBOR, and you can see that's down at the bottom. And then floor rate, this is not a required field, but you can put it in there if you want. Usually you're not going to go below index plus margin, but it's up to you. I think I would probably put my floor rate at 3% here. And then you can choose the default scenario you want. Now, by choosing a worst case scenario, it's going to assume that this loan is going to stay fixed at 3.5% until month 85, at which point it's going to start adjusting. Now, at a worst case scenario, that means it's going to adjust at the max it can. So at month 85, it's going to go up 2%. Then every 6 months after that, it's going to continue going up 2% until it hits the max rate of 9.5%. Now this is going to cause a fairly high APR, and the reason for this is it's got a majority of the payments at the max rate. So when we calculate the APR on this guy, it's going to be pretty high. Now if you were to choose best case assumes that at month 85 this drops to index plus margin. So it's going to be 2.5. Now my floor rate's 3. It's going to drop to 3. And it's going to stay there for the remaining term of the loan. So this is kind of unrealistic, but I will tell you that your APR will match your loan origination system when you choose best case, because your loan origination system does not account for any types of future adjustments. Now, most of the time, what I would recommend is showing both. If you're going to show a best case on your presentations, also show the worst case. That way you can be assured that, one, you're giving the client all the information that they need for it, and 2, you're showing them both ends of the spectrum. So I'll leave this one at worst case for now, and I'm going to hit OK. And then the last thing I need to do is I can pull in my closing cost template. So I don't have to fill all this stuff out. What I can do is I can go to closing details, and I can pull one of my templates. So for instance, my 30-year fixed purchase, I can pull that in, and then hit apply to template. So now what it's done is it's taken one of my fee templates and it's tied it into this product template. I'll show you why this is so valuable in just a few minutes here once we get over to preparing a new client. The last step here is you want to make sure and save your monthly costs. So my hazard insurance, I like doing these as factor percentages so you don't have to adjust them on a case-by-case basis. It makes it a lot easier. And then mortgage insurance, and this guy is a 10% down, and it's conventional. So all I'm going to do is put in my factor for 10% conventional there. I'm going to put in my 78% cutoff. I don't check the box for Calc MI on balance. This is only for government loans. And I don't need to enter a cutoff month. Again, that's only for government loans as well. Now, MI is still tax deductible for right now, but could be changing it sometime in the near future. Usually I'd recommend leave this unchecked and do it on a case-by-case basis. we'll find out fairly soon here whether MI is going to be deductible for 2014. So that's the last step of this template. Now let me show you why I did all that legwork. When we go to our home screen and we create any new client now, let me make this a little bit bigger for you so you guys can all see it. Okay. Now, all you need really to generate a report so that it saves is the first name. That's the hinge point. So this one I'm just going to call sample. Now we can fill out the entire report here, but I just want to show you why the templates are so useful. So at this point, let's say I've got my 7-1 arm. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to pull in my template. So you can see if I go down to the very bottom, there's that product template that I just built that already has a fee template in it as well. When I select that, all I have to do is pop in my purchase price. So let's say this was $250. It automatically calculates all the way down the line for me. So everything I saved in my template there, my rate, even my ARM parameters are saved, interest only months. As I go to the right, you can see that all my caps and adjustments are in there. I didn't have to do anything on that one. My closing costs are in there, so all I have to do is come in here and make minor edits to things like the hazard insurance reserves and the tax reserves. So I'd want to come in here, calculate how many I need on that. Again, you can refer to your LOS for this if you need to. It'll calculate it for you automatically based on the number of months that you need for the specific program. But once you're done completing those, hit Apply to Loan. And when you go to the last screen, because we entered those factor percentages back in the template, this is already done as well. So you can see I only had to edit 2 lines to make this product work. And this is one of the more difficult products in Edge because this is an adjustable rate mortgage. So if you have the time and if you want to make sure that your process is streamlined when you're running in Edge, create your fee templates, then create product templates and associate your fee templates with those. That way you never have to do more than a couple of steps of movement on any particular loan product. All you're going to do is edit the things that you've left open. Things like rate will probably change if I was to pull this into something else. So I'd want to edit that. And then, of course, in the closing costs, my prepaid escrows, my hazard insurance reserves, and tax reserves. All right, so with that said, those are templates, and if you guys need more detail on templates, we've actually got some good training videos on this. So if you hit help, it'll take you over to our support center. And here it comes up. And then in the knowledge base, all you have to do is type in template, and it'll give you a search. And what you can see here is how to create and use fee templates. This is actually a kind of a recap on what we showed in the beginning of the call. The best way to start creating your fee templates is showing you how to use your fee worksheet to create a full fee template for yourself. I do see there's a couple of questions in the box, so let me get to that. Brian, I don't have the link for the webinar on me right now, so if you would send that request to support@mortgagecoach.com, my team will get that over to you right away so you can register for this upcoming webinar at 10. Mark, thanks for the feedback on the widget. Let me know how that works for you. I'd really like to see how it works for your business and what kind of feedback you get on this. Charlie's question, he said, did this change on the existing templates? I believe you're referring to the way I was building those templates. We haven't changed anything on those. Basically, I was just showing you how to do it from the settings, but you can also do it from the products themselves. So for instance, if I had created a product, and let's say I didn't pull this one in as a template, I can actually save either just the closing cost template if I want by going into closing cost detail and then do save as template. So if I had done all my data entry right here instead of in the settings, I could do save as template here and it'll save to that same spot in the settings. Now at the last screen of any product, you can save the entire product. So if you go save as template here, this saves a product template, not a fee template. So it saves all your monthly parameters, saves everything about the rate and term, ARM parameters, and the associated fee template. And Will's question, he says, index changes automatically with the markets? Yes, absolutely it does. So when you pull in an index for any one of these loans, you'll see that today, if we go back to our ARM parameters, and we look at the LIBOR, it's automatically pulled in today's index value for the 6-month LIBOR. Now, as that changes, it'll update inside Edge, but you will have to come back into it to see it. So if you put out a report and sent it to your borrower 8 months ago and LIBOR has adjusted since then, you'll need to come back in and literally just reselect the index and it'll update it for you. Okay, Kenneth's question, how do you handle title insurance and escrow which moves with the loan amounts? So for those ones, Kenneth, those are ones you would leave blank. They're the variable ones, just like the hazard insurance and the tax reserves, that you'll need to put in on a case-by-case basis. Unfortunately, there's not really a way to make those perfect based on a percentage, because they're really not based on a percentage. They're based on whatever the title company decides to charge. So that can be a little difficult. But I have seen people separate their templates out by title company. So for instance, 30-year fixed with, ABC title, and then 30-year fixed with CDE title, and they'll have different fees that are associated with those specific title companies. William's question, can this be sent as a step-by-step PowerPoint to me? No, I'm sorry, William, I can't make a PowerPoint out of this. This is a video. However, this video will be available for you if you go to our coaching call archive, and this is just go to the Mortgage Coach website, hover over Community, and choose Coaching Call Archive. This is where we store all the Tuesday and Thursday calls. So you can see that last Thursday's call was covering ARMs and annual mortgage reviews. So if you wanted to get more detail on that, you could watch those. I will be publishing today's call in the same list, so it'll be just at the bottom here under the Dan Keller call that we had on Tuesday, which, by the way, this was a great call. If you didn't get a chance to see this, check this one out. I think you're going to get a lot of value from it. But I'll be posting today's call just beneath this one later this afternoon. Liliette's question, can you show us where you went to add a widget? That was really cool info. Oh, yes, absolutely. So in Edge, all you have to do is click on Settings, and then go to your Contact Information tab here, and it's at the bottom of your contact info. Now, you'll note that if you don't have a cell phone number in there, it's going to actually tell you that it needs a cell phone number to proceed. But I'll tell you right now, make sure you've got a cell phone number, make sure you've got a business address, and make sure you've got a company name there. The reason is those are things that are displayed on the widget, and they're choices you have for the widget. So as long as you have those completed, when you hit Create Widget, it'll take you straight over to this widget creation tool here, and it'll give you not only a link that you can send out to your borrowers, to your realtors, but it'll also give you this little snippet of code that if you have a website that you maintain or that your IT maintains, you can give them this little bit of code, and it'll automatically pop that widget onto your website. Eric's question, how do you edit template names? So let's check that out. That's also in the settings. So what you would do is you would come into the specific template that you want to edit. And in this case, I would actually copy this one and then delete the original. So if I wanted to edit the name of this one, VA Purchase, I would copy this, so do Save As, and then call it VA Purchase 2 or whatever I wanted to edit it to. Hit OK. And then I would delete the original. So for that one, just left click on it, hit delete. It'll ask you, you sure you want to delete it? You hit yes, and now you effectively changed the name of that template. Now in the product templates area, same thing. When you come in here, you would need to copy it. So the easiest way to do this would be to bring this inside Edge, because there's really not a copy feature for the product templates. So what I would do is go into Edge, pull in the desired product template. So for instance, if we go back to our sample here, and I've pulled in this particular template already. So what I would do is I would hit Save as Template. I would change this one to be 7-1 ARM New. Hit OK. It'll save that template. So it's the same one I had before. It's just now got a different name in it. And now I can go back into my settings, and if I want, I can delete the original. So I'd go back into Settings, and then in Product Templates, I could delete that original one in favor of this new one that's been renamed. Brad's question, will there be a possibility of co-branding a TCA in the near future? Probably not, Brad, and I'll tell you that we would love to be able to do that. There's just no room on the reports. So I don't see it coming down the pipe anytime soon, but I will tell you that there's certain things that you can do on your TCA to help co-brand. So for instance, if you are, let's see here, let's go back to our sample file. In the first screen here, you can choose to make this a marketing report. And one of the cool things about making it a marketing report is you now have a headline that you can use. So you could say something like, brought to you, whoops, gotta spell it right, by Brad and Jacob. And obviously that's a little simple, but you could do it a little bit more than that. And then very, very critical here, enter your partner's email address. So for instance, if Brad, if you were my partner, I'd do Brad and I want to say it's Premier, but I won't disclose your full email address. And then once you get to the very last part in the presentation here, when you get to the preview section, you can actually choose to send an Edge View alert to your partner as well. So the cool thing about this is that not only will you get those email alerts and rate watch alerts that tell you that your client has viewed this particular presentation, but your partner is also going to get an email that says this presentation has been viewed, and it'll give them a link that they can click on it and see what presentation it was. Now, I would also tell you that it's incredibly important when you're doing these to also make sure that anytime you're putting a video on it, make sure to cross-sell that realtor partner. You've got a marketing report that you're co-branding. The only way you can really do it right now is co-brand the video, make sure he's getting the alerts just like you are, and you can co-brand the headline. So those are 3 ways that you can effectively do that. Now, you're not going to be able to get your partner's photo and logo on there, because if you were to replace your photo and logo in the total cost analysis, it'll actually replace it for all your TCAs. So you're not going to be able to do that just yet. But I will tell you that a lot of the time what I see people doing is they'll send both a total cost analysis like this one here, and they'll send an open house presentation. And the reason they do that is because the open house presentation has the co-branding on it, but the total cost has all the detail. So oftentimes they'll send them both out to the realtor partner and to the borrowers just so they get pretty much everything all at once. Now, it also depends on what you're looking to do with your realtor partner, whether you're trying to show them, the nuts and bolts of what you do, or whether you're just trying to kind of have a very cursory presentation that's just made for an open house. I would tell you that it's always a great idea to make sure your realtor partner knows what kind of services you're producing for your borrower. It really helps them understand that you are the professional in this area, and it allows them to just try and sell the house. I mean, they don't want to have to worry about the numbers, nuts and bolts, and trying to make sure everybody's happy. That's what you're good at. So hopefully that answers your question there, Brad. Unfortunately, we can't get that logo and photo on there, but there are ways that you can effectively co-brand this. Lila's question, what tab is the open house presentation on? All right. So the open house, you can get that from doing any new partner inside Edge. So you would hit new partner. And then first name, this is your realtor's information, so we'll call him Joe Realtor. And then, of course, the friendly name here, we want to make sure it has the property address, so 123 Any Street. This is just going to help you identify it. If you do multiple presentations for this particular realtor, the friendly name is going to help you identify which one it's for. Now, you're going to enter all the details for the property, everything from the address to the property features. You can upload images for it. You're going to enter the products that you're offering. And then when you get to the end of the presentation screen, you have the option of choosing a seller buy down or an open house flyer. Now, I haven't entered anything on this, but if I had entered products, you'd see 4 products across the board here that I could check or uncheck to include. And then, of course, I need to complete my property information. Now, I'm not going to do the full walkthrough on this today, but I will tell you there is a walkthrough in our support center. And I'm sorry, Dave Savage is calling me. All right, so let's type in open house in our knowledge base. And this is the one I would recommend you watch, collecting data and filling out the open house flyer. This is going to show you from start to finish exactly where to find all the data that you need and how to get it into the open house flyer. So check this one out when you get the chance. It's just a YouTube video, so when you click on it, you'll see that the knowledge base gives you kind of a brief walkthrough on what it allows you to do, and then you can click on this one. It'll take you directly over to YouTube so you can watch a step-by-step on how to build that open house flyer. But it looks like we've got to go. Dave Savage is calling me right now. We've got to jump over to this other webinar. Again, if you guys want to join us for the webinar today with Darren Hardy, send us a quick note over at support@mortgagecoach.com. We'll get you that link right away. That call is going to be starting in about 25 minutes. Yvonne, I do see your question in the box there that you're running into an error. If you could send that to us at support@mortgagecoach.com, we'll look into it in a little bit more detail and see what we get on that one. So thanks, everybody. Sorry to cut it short today, but hope you'll be able to join us for this Darren Hardy event. It's a really exciting one. I think you get a lot of value from it. So stop in if you get the chance. If you don't, we will be recording it, so don't worry too much. You can always come back to this coaching call archive, and you're going to see the Darren Hardy event in here as well. It'll be right underneath my QA session link. So thanks, everybody, for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and hope to see you all on the event at 10 o'clock. Thank you.